Yeah. I love my HBCU. And boy, I love it, love it. I love it, love it. I love my HBCU. And man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. Man, I hope my team they won. Yeah. I hope my team they won. Yeah. I tune into the HBCU Sports Lab to see if my team won or lost. If they lost, I'm quiet as a mouse. But if they won, keep tab. I'ma do the dab, yeah. Dr. Cavil, he know what he be talking about. Mike and Charles, they know what they be talking about. They compress the analytic data with the hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they won or lost, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
Good morning, everybody. I don't know how we're gonna do a show since my team lost and I'm supposed to be quiet as a mouse. Oh, that's right. Texas Southern won. We can do a show. I got nervous. My wife's alma mater, Alabama A&M won. So we can do a show. Joshua Sims, they won. We can do a show. BJ Jones, alma mater, he won. AD Drew, they won. Cigars for all of you all out there traveling. We up a little bit against the clock, but we'll get it going. Obviously, we're all moving about, all doing our things, trying to make the range. BJ Jones is actually here with me. He is in Huntsville. I'm in Huntsville. Brought the wife and my son Deuce down. 80 Drew's on the road, getting ready to travel back as soon as we get off here. We'll have a special appearance by Brian, so we'll get a little bit of the early synergy of the sports wrap of what y'all see later today. Joshua Sims doing his thing. They moved from Wednesday to Friday. Got it going on. I was traveling, so I was here hustling, but couldn't really get what I needed to do to make sure my voice was heard. But it is what it is in a lot of ways when you think about that. With that being said, welcome to episode 438 of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab radio show and podcast, the show that's covering the sporting HBCU diaspora, all things HBCU sports. For institutions large and small, from the NEIA to the NCAA, we share insights and information on the HBCU sports culture, HBCU athletic aesthetics to facilitate the story of HBCU athletic programs in the business of HBCU sports. Shortly, we just call it HBCU sports pedagogy. I'm your host, Dr. Kenyatta, Cavil, along with my co-host, Mike Washington, Charles Bishop. Oh, man, I've seen a couple of guys out there show us love. I'm sure you experienced the BJ Jones talking about what we do on our platform. And they got a kick out on saying, hey, tell Mike to come on the show. I have to say he's out on assignment. Guess what? He's like, well, at least Charles is there. Guess what? Charles is out on assignment as well. So they're on the move. They both from Dallas traveling back. Charles got the blessing to call the game play-by-play. He couldn't bring us some of that synergy he's done over the years, getting it done with Jackson State. But with that being said, let me go to you, AD Drew. How you doing today?
Well, you were at the game. You was at homecoming. You and BJ were at homecoming. How y'all think I'm doing?
Doing well.
You know, FAMU held their end of the bargain, but God, dog.
Yeah,
jumped out 3-0, and then that was the last we heard of the Golden Tigers on yesterday.
Yes, one of those first plays as you talk about, he got it down. And the problem was, it was a story of what was the rest of the nights could have, would have, should have. If he doesn't juggle the ball, he goes for 6. So you see what that looks like. He juggles, the guy was able to save it, and they tighten up and force him to a field goal, which is the 3 points you represent. And the rest, we really don't want to talk about if you're a Golden Tiger. With that being said, Joshua.
Just one question, Doc.
Yep.
Did the Crimson Pipers win?
No.
Damn, 0 for 2.
No, I hate to bear that to you. No, Joshua Sims. I was going to say that they did well. They did okay, but no. Joshua Sims.
Man, I am. My entire household right now is all drinking hot tea and lemon tea. And everybody from me, my wife, the whole Sims clan this morning is drinking hot tea and just trying to get our voice back after what I the greatest comeback North Carolina Central football history yesterday.
Wow.
In the near sellout in the nest. And just for those who didn't know, this is a near sellout when across the road, College Game Day was in town across the road. Temporary across the highway, they across the street, they had College Game Day, and they had Notre Dame in town, and our fans and Eagle Nation showed up inside of O'Kelly Riddick Stadium in droves last night. Stayed for a very, very long football game. It was a very long football game. Stayed all the way to the end to watch what I believe to be the greatest football game I've ever seen from North Carolina Central with my two eyes. That was absolutely amazing. And for those of you who stepped outside your body and had something to say about North Carolina Central, next time you'll learn to do what the Honorable Louis Minister Farrakhan told Mike Wallace on television. You'll learn to sometimes be quiet. And so we silenced a lot of haters last night, and we'll continue to do so. But man, I am absolutely elated, man. As you can tell, I got some Eagle paraphernalia on this morning, and I got my hot tea right there on the table. So I might take a couple sips during the show.
Well done, sir. Well done. And for those, we'll get a little more into it. But if you don't know what Joshua Sims is referencing, you need to wake up out of your slumber. But they beat Campbell 49-48. It was in overtime. But at one point in that game, in the second quarter, they were down 35-14. So it was looking ominous. And I must admit, I had it up there and it was 14-14. I was watching the first part of the game. You know, they go back and forth. And I said, okay, this tie, this is game. Campbell went up 21-14. I said they'll do it, and they kind of got to stop. I'm moving around the stadium, so I go up between where I'm sitting in the chair backs, as you know, BJ Jones, and then I go up to the media. And so I look up, it's 35-14. I was like, oh, Lord. So I turn it off. The game just seemed to go forever because somehow after I got everything, I decided to go check it back out. And they scored to tie it, I think 35-35 or something like that. And I'm like, wow, all right, let's check this out. So I got to see the finish as well. BJ Jones, how you doing?
Man, I'm tired, dog. I'm tired. Look, it's odd to have a homecoming when it's 91 degrees outside. Like when we think homecomings in the fall and football, we don't think 91 degrees. But that's exactly what we got here in Huntsville yesterday, man. It was a scorcher, and everybody seemed to be excited about the contest, man. A lot of Tuskegee people have been talking, all week, and man, Doc, this game here, man, I looked at my daughter. I said, hey, at the halftime, you want to go ahead and just get up out of here? She said, yes, please. So, look, man, I spent the second half watching North Carolina Central and Campbell and watching Southern and the Arkansas Pine Bluff. There was absolutely no need. We mixed some Alabama State and Alcorn in there, but there was absolutely no need to sit there and watch the rest of it. We knew how that was going to go. We knew how it was going to go.
Oh, yeah, it was tough. Credit to Alabama A&M. They woke up. It was amazing how many people, for me, came in and gave Tuskegee that much of a shot. And I was like, I don't know what y'all been watching Tuskegee with.
I didn't.
A couple of games. Yeah, and I know AD Drew and you focused on it. You said it coming in, but a couple of folks were like,
I called it last week. Remember, Doc, I said, thank Tuskegee, you're going down and get them, and I was wrong.
Yeah.
I went back. I went back after that show, Doc, and I went back and I watched Tuskegee. And I said, when I watched them, I was wrong.
I know you was like, uh-oh.
I made it even worse. I said, well, Tuskegee is going to catch one of these two Division I Alabama schools, one of these major level Alabama schools, they're going to catch one of them slipping. Well, half of that is absolutely not going to happen. Alabama State, maybe? Hey, Tuskegee, please, man. Don't do me like this, dog.
Wait. I want to throw this in. All the Alabama schools play each other except Miles does not play Alabama A&M. When it's all said and done, it looks like Miles may win the state.
Yes. Yeah, very well. Yeah. And we got a key matchup coming in that we'll get in the fourth segment about what Miles faces this weekend, which will give us a lot of indication.
Yeah.
Precursor to the SIAC championship game. But I'm excited about that matchup. With that said, before we get into our first break, let me go to each one of you and and say, what was your biggest surprise this past weekend and why? Starting with you, AD Drew.
I would do two quickly.
Drew never can follow the rule.
Well, I'll just get the one since I've got to follow the rules. With Prairie View losing to Grambling on Saturday, all eyes west of the Mississippi will be on Lorman, Mississippi next week when Grambling and Alcoy battle each other. That's my biggest takeaway. We was wondering if it was going to be mediocrity or parity in the West. It's leaning more parity than mediocrity now. Originally, I thought it was going to lean towards mediocrity, but the scale is tipping towards parity. I think there's just that competitive in the West. That's my biggest takeaway.
And we'll try to come back to you, get this next one in that you wanted. So hold on to that. DJ Jones.
Oh man, for me, it was me. It was Alabama State. Coulda, woulda, shoulda. Alabama State lost this game about 19 times yesterday before they finally lost it. And talking to some of the Alabama State people yesterday, man, they're frustrated down there. They are frustrated. They don't understand the quarterback carousel, why there's need for it, and it's rough in Montgomery. So that's my biggest takeaway.
Man, let's go. We'll have to get inside that in the next segment as well. Joshua Sims, senior.
CIAA South strikes again. Livingstone whoops Bowie. The CIAA South strikes again.
I saw it.
I was so glad. I was so happy to see that yesterday. Nice. I was so happy to see that yesterday. I was following the game while I was inside the stadium. Me and Stephen Gaither passed by each other, and he stepped by me and just, Livingstone whooped Bowie State. What? So the CIAA South strikes again. Hey, Bowie, and you got coming in town next week for homecoming. We're going to talk about it on the show. I ain't going to say that.
Oh, this is good. You got time, AD Drew. Go back to you. What's the second one? You had two. Go ahead and give it out.
Man, the way Fort Valley whooped up on Allen, it reminded them what their place is in the SIAC. That is my number 2 takeaway.
That's a good one. All of those are good ones. Let's get into our first break. We'll come back on the other side, and we'll break down some of these matchups that we had last week for the matchups of the week to watch. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this break.
If you think all pads are exactly the same, think again. This is Always Ultra Thins reinvented with the Always Triple Protection System. This pad wicks gushes 90% faster, absorbs even more so you can feel dry, and locks odors in. Rethink your pad for up to 100% leak-free and odor-free comfort with the totally reinvented Always Ultra Thins. This is always like never before.
The Cavil Group is a Florida-based marketing and training consulting firm. We help businesses communicate to their target audience and engage them in conversation. We also help to expand their audiences, which will ultimately result in growth for those organizations. In addition to being a certified constant contact specialist, my colleagues and I are also certified in John Maxwell Leadership Principles. We use these proven principles to conduct workshops, training, and private coaching sessions for individuals and companies looking to take things to the next level. Contact us to schedule a free consultation. Issues today, don't delay, call Cavil.
Looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics, there's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill of Inside the HBCU Sports Lab, none other than AD Drew. We also have BJ Jones, Joshua Sims Seniors in the house to give you a Sunday morning breakdown before you are those that go to church. We'll get it in. I'd be remiss. We're going to break it down a little bit where we'll get into these games, and I'll ask them point blank which one do they want to break down. So we're going to open it up. You know, sometimes in the lecture, in the classroom, when you got students of high caliber, you know, that just come in there, you allow them to flow in the lecture itself. And these gentlemen, what more can I say? With that being said, week 4, Benedict Tigers still remain number 1. So before we do that, let me give you the top 7, let you know how they fared this past weekend. At number 7, you have West Virginia State Yellow Jackets. They won. So they keep moving as they get it done. You have Miles Golden Bears. They got to put out a beatdown and won, and they continue to thrive. You heard a little sneak in there with number 5, Bowie State Bulldogs. They lost this weekend, and so they fall as their record continues to go down. They fall to 2-1 in that tough Northern Division, and we might have to change that after what the South is doing. And number 4, Allen Yellow Jackets lost a tough matchup. Drew said keep your eyes on it, and he wanted to know were they for real. Well, we got a glimpse. Maybe they're not quite ready for the big-time primetime show, but, hey, it was a hell of a ride. And number 3, Tuskegee Golden Tigers lost to Alabama A&M. Tough one there. They really got it put to them. I think Golden Tigers are a little ahead of the schedule. So I know for a lot of Tiger fans, they're frustrated with the loss, but your program is building. They'll be okay. And number 2, Virginia State Trojans, they just keep winning. Dr. Henry Frazier, the third up there, getting it done in so many different ways. 5-0, 3-0 in the season, 2 first-place votes. Be interesting to see the way he's rolling. Can he strip another first-place vote against Benedict Tigers, who won big, but not quite as big as they used to win it, which is sometimes challenging when you're out front. The expectation level is not just about a win. Now it's how you win. But credit to Benedict Tigers. They got a win streak that is really going, especially when you look at what they've done in the conference the last couple of years. 7 first-place votes. They get it done. Let's go to the major division and let you know what took place there. We had a top 7 matchup, 6 and 7, and the Tigers get it done. Game kind of went back and forth. 2 key plays for me in that matchup, and I like to see what people think about it as they go into it. It was late in the first half. Grambling got a huge stop on 3rd down when Prairie View was on the 3, got it to essentially the 1-yard line and could not get it in. And then to make worse of everything, they missed the field goal that could have made it closer and kind of went back and forth. Sundiata Anderson, preseason defensive player of the year, was not able to play the first 3 quarters because of the ejection he had in the previous game. He comes in the 4th, he's fresh, and you know he's angry. He makes, to me, what was the key play after what was a tough 4th down call that a lot of people were questioning at the time, but they stuffed Prairie View on 4th and 1, and he was the guy that made the play to get in the backfield. Then he comes back on the next series where they run down some clock, but they're able to get the ball back. He gets the rush attack and gets to Connolly just enough time to tip his hand, knock it off, or tip the ball just a little bit, and it falls short of the receiver that was running wide. And because of that, it ends up being an interception. Katie Board door is over. With that being said, Prairie View loses 2-3 at 6 at number 5. Jackson State did not play. Hampton Pirates commanding win over Richmond Spiders, making their statement as they looks like a lot of HBCU programs want a piece of Richmond this year. Number 3, Tennessee State Tigers lose. They go up 10-0, but then they're outscored 20-0 the rest of the game. So they lose 20-10. North Carolina Central Eagles, you heard about that, Camels. They win 49-48 in overtime. Huge comeback win to make it exciting and exhilarating for everybody. Florida A&M pedestrian, if you would, which is again a number one team. Start off a little slow, but then they close strong, win 31-7. So you see that with Valley this year. It'll be interesting to see how that comes. They played for a half with just about anybody, and then after that, it gets ridiculous pretty fast. With that being said, let's get into some of these matchups. The first one we had last week for the game of the week, and I want to remind everybody, we usually do the mid-major games of the week, but there were only a couple of mid-major games that were played in terms of independence or classics, so we pulled in some of these other matchups. So the first one we did was a mid-major classic game of the week. It was number 3 mid-major Tuskegee Golden Tigers. They were versus on the road homecoming for number 9 in terms of schedule. Alabama A&M Bulldogs 2-2. They get it done. A&M win 58-3, takes down Tuskegee. I'll start with you, Drew, to talk a little bit about that matchup, and I'll see which one of the guys want to give you a little bit of that as well.
Doc was only able to catch the first quarter and a half of this particular matchup because of my schedule on yesterday. But like you said, a lot of missed opportunities for Tuskegee. I mean, as much as Tuskegee has been squeaking by in the SIAC, they do have some depth issues as far as injuries are concerned. And as we all know, most teams have somebody in that number 2 spot who can step up to the number 1. The problem is 3s are 3s for a reason. 4s are 4s for a reason. You don't have anybody who can generally step up into those reserve minutes the way that the reserve can step into those starters minutes. And especially when you're talking about the competition level from a Division II to a Division I program, it caught up with Tuskegee, and boy, it caught up bad with Tuskegee. And I see Dr. Paul Bryant is on the show this morning. Paul, why you have to do us like that, man? I mean, we are supposed to be family, Paul, man. You didn't have to do us like that. I mean, get the dub, but damn, you didn't have to do us like that.
Shout out to Dr. Bryant, man. He treated me first class. I really appreciate the way that he can get things done. They got people in and out of there. Record crowd attendance. Shout out to the Bulldogs. You talking about taking that next step. And they certainly had a good time. I was there. BJ Jones was there. So let me get his thoughts in terms of what took place.
Alabama A&M dominated in all 3 facets of the game: special teams, defensively, offensively. It was apparent early that Tuskegee was outmatched. And there was nothing that Tuskegee was going to be able to do on yesterday. I called it last week. I said Tuskegee would upset Alabama A&M for homecoming. I looked like a buffoon. I went back and looked at the doc, said, hey, you might want to look a little closer at Tuskegee. I did exactly that. I went and watched them play against Lane. I went and watched their games from the season. I was like, whoa. But at that point, I had already called it, so I was kind of stuck with it. But Alabama A&M did what you needed to do when you play a opponent that's not on the level that you are, and that's to dominate. And that's what the Bulldogs did on yesterday. So shout out to the Alabama A&M Bulldogs. Did what you're supposed to do. They got a huge one next week in Mobile against Jackson State. So celebrate this one. Hey, after today at noon, reset. It's straight Jackson State.
I love it, man. It's going to be tough to talk about some of these games of the week next week, particularly in the SWAC. We got a lot of key matchups, and it's probably going to be like that the rest of the year in terms of week to week, how we kind of see things going. Joshua, I'm going to get into the next matchup because I want you to get in here. This one was thrilling, as you said. We actually made this major division game our independent non-conference mid-major division game of the week because we didn't have any significant ones. A lot of teams were off independent-wise this past week at the mid-major level. So we decided to go to Durham, North Carolina, Old Kelly Riddick Stadium, Hall of Fame game. We went from the Coastal, formerly known as the Colonial, CAA, and the MEAC matchups. And those have been some fascinating matchups. I think it's now, 4-4 on the season?
5-5. Actually, it's 6-5 now. Howard won yesterday. North Carolina Central won yesterday. Norfolk State lost. So we go up. We went up one victory on.
Yeah, there's 3 games yesterday. Thank you. Good one. September 30th, 3 p.m. I tried to forget that A&T game for Norfolk. They valiant effort of coming. Man, you talking about getting in the hole. A lot much going on. They went down 16, got the first 2-point conversion after scoring and couldn't get the second one, and then couldn't get a stop to try to get it back and maybe win it on a field goal. Crazy. But let's get into the game we want to talk about. Camels 2-1 on the season, fall to 2-3, 1-2 at North Carolina Central. That improved to 4-1 as they are rolling 48-49. Told you about the score overtime. But break this down and tell us why this was, as you alluded to, the biggest comeback in the history of the Eagles of North Carolina Central.
For those of you who are not very, very familiar, North Carolina Central became a full-time Division I athletic program in 2010 and completed our full season inside of Mid-Eastern Athletics in 2011. And because of uniquely where we sit inside of the state of North Carolina, for those who may not be familiar with the demographics of the state of North Carolina Central sits smack dab in the middle of the Research Triangle area of North Carolina. We're about 10 minutes away from Duke, 15 minutes away from Chapel Hill, 20 minutes away from NC State. So we sit smack dab in the middle of all those institutions. Yesterday, Durham, North Carolina, intentionally, Durham yesterday was on fire. Shaw had a game down the highway. They had a home game. They play their home games in Durham. The Contemporary institution that's across the street, they had a game yesterday that hosted College Game Day. And then North Carolina Central yesterday had the Hall of Fame game. And first, Doc, I just want to give a super shout out before I get into the game for Eagle Nation showing up yesterday. The parking lots were full for tailgating yesterday. There were a lot of people that got into the stadium early, including my family and I, got in the stadium early. Went and hit the concession stands early, went and got the food, went to the food trucks early, got to their seats early. And what was a very, very long football game yesterday, it stayed the entire game. But as it pertains to the game, yesterday, Campbell jumped out as we knew they would. Campbell jumped out with that pertinent and persistent offense, that up-tempo offense that we saw last year. And last year, we just did not have the dogs in the moment to be able to withstand the onslaught during this game last year. But this year, we knew that they were going to throw everything they could. They were going to throw the kitchen sink at us to jump out there early. Biggest difference between last year and this year is that in moments last year, when they jumped out there, we didn't respond. Early in the game, we did not respond. And this year, under the guidance of QB1, the most dynamic, best dual threat quarterback in all of college football. And if you have not watched that game, I want you guys to go back and watch that game. Everybody that's on the lab, that's in the lab this morning, I want you to go back and watch this game. I want you to go back and watch Davius Richard in the eyes of tons of NFL scouts last night. I was there. I spoke to tons of NFL scouts yesterday. Postseason bowl game scouts were there yesterday. Postseason award scouts were there yesterday. If I began to run down the litany and list of how many people were in attendance yesterday, watching this game, and they stayed throughout the entire game. Number 11 showed everybody in college football why he is the best quarterback in all of HBCU football, most dynamic. If you watch this game in the second half, if you watch it in the first half, from the first play to the last play, this brother put the game and put this team on his back. But the second half, it started in the last part of the second quarter. The defense found something. The defense found something against this Campbell team. And I want to give a humongous shout out to Brandon Codrington. B-Cod enters into this game in the later part of the second quarter and plays the entire second half. And North Carolina Central is this close to having yet another team that they hold scoreless in the second half. One touchdown in the second half that ended up taking us to overtime. But this defense in particular, Coach Cord, I don't know, and I won't say right now what he found in that last part of the second quarter. But they go on a tremendous run in that second half. They buy our offense the best field position that we could have asked for. And Davius, Richard, Latrell, Mookie Colliers, these are all names y'all familiar with now. If you paying attention to HBCU football, you know these names. Jamari Taylor, Torricelli Simpkins, and that offensive line who gave up 1 sack and has only given up 2 sacks the whole season. This offensive line and this offense with Davius and Latrell and Jamari, they showed that it does not matter how much you throw at us early. And this is a potent offense over there at Campbell. I got to give my hat off to them. They are potent. They've been potent. They will continue to be potent. And if you don't have a defense that can hunker down and settle in and do what it needs to take, and if you don't have a guy like number 11, you will. Most of these other teams will lose. School down the highway, you got to see them down the road. You know what it feels like to have to come back against these people. It's tough. It's rough. But I have to give my hat off to number 11. 5 total touchdowns, 365 total yards, and 5 touchdowns yesterday. If you're an NFL scout and you have not paid enough attention to this young man, you losing stuff. The league right now is in a whole nother direction. You need to be paying attention to this brother, man. And there were a ton of scouts in there last night that had a chance to witness what this brother can do when the opportunity is put up against him. Led us to a drive. And shout out to Adrian Olivo. Most kickers would have gotten down in that moment. He missed the kick to win the game. And most kickers would have gotten down in that moment. And we all looked over at Adrian Olivo, but me in particular, I told him, be ready because your moment is getting ready to come right now. Defense blocks the kick, and look what this brother does. He kicks the extra point to win us the game and becomes second all-time in school history and in all-time scoring in school history yesterday as well. So it was an all-around great game, man. Hall of Fame game, Doc. I could not be more elated, but it's on to the next. We got Elon next week. I'm excited.
Man, it's our church on Sunday morning.
Yeah,
I never seen him, man.
A breakdown. I didn't know if we were doing a sermon, a lecture, or a license. He did it all 3 in one. Man. Hold that brick. Hold it up there. Keep walking. Put a lamp.
Let the church say, amen.
I'm excited.
We're going to take our next break and come back on the other side because I don't want anybody to follow them directly. That just ain't nice. It ain't really. We'll come back right after this break and get into some more matchups. CIAA and SIAC games of the week. Stick with us. We'll be right back after this next break.
Supermarket sushi, really?
No. Wait, Troy, you work here?
I'm never not working. Like Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology, up to 100% dandruff protection, even between washes.
Never not working, huh?
Oh, Troy, you're such a good teacher.
Yeah, I know. Never not working. Never not working. Never, ever not working.
Are you serious?
Never not working. Dandruff protection that's never not working. Head & Shoulders Scalp Shield technology.
It's never too early to plant the seed, to share the tradition, and instill a sense of pride in your HBCU with your little ones. HBCU Pride and Joy Children's Boutique helps you share your school spirit with a wide selection of adorable kids apparel and accessories officially licensed from your favorite HBCU. Visit hbcupridejoy.com and follow us on all social media at HBCU Pride Joy on Facebook and Twitter.
This is Brian Fulford. AD Drew and I are co-hosts of the BCSN Sports Wrap. We talk about all things related to HBCU athletics. From the games, teams, coaches, and fan interest stories, we cover it all. You can find our shows on Facebook at BCSN Sports Wrap, YouTube at MyJBN Online, and everywhere you listen to podcasts like Anchor, Spotify, Google, and Apple Podcasts. You can also find the show on the Jericho Broadcast Network's app. Make sure to download. We look forward to you joining the conversation and being a part of the show.
When you're looking for the latest information on Southern University sports, the Southwestern Athletic Conference, and HBCU athletics, there's only one place to go. Tune in to the Carlos Brown Show, exclusively on the Black College Sports Network.
Compress the analytic data with your hip-hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they want to lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gonna teach a lesson.
As I said, I promised you I'd give you your cigar, so I just want to make sure you had your cigar and you understood. Shout out to BJ Jones, Joshua Sims Sr., AD Drew. He got to split his cigar, but you got one on one side.
I get to smoke a short.
Exactly. With that, I'm gonna stick with you, so you won't have to follow Joshua directly. We're gonna go to the SIAC and then the CIAA. I'll come back to Joshua that matchup. We had a top 8 matchup, if you would. Number 4, Allen Yellow Jackets were 4-0, 2-0 in conference coming in this game. They lost in fall to 4-1. At number 8, Fort Valley State, that was 3-0. So 2 matchup between undefeateds in conference play. So it's a huge matchup as things are heating up in the SIAC in terms of who's going to be 2 top teams. Remember, you can't take advantage of the divisional alignments in terms of winning a division and facing the other one. Now you got to find out to be the top 2 to play in the championship game. So fascinating to see how this plays out. AD Drew, what were your thoughts in terms of this game between the Yellow Jackets and the Wildcats? It was in South Carolina.
Yeah. Kelvin Durham, last year's SIAC Player of the Year, against David Wright, who was quietly leading the charge to be this season's SIAC Player of the Year. Kelvin Durham flat out took the challenge and said, "Not so fast, my brother." Both these guys are young. You know, we're gonna see this battle for the next couple of years, as both these guys have a minimum of 1 year, if not 2 years, of eligibility remaining. But Kelvin Durham, 3 touchdowns on the day, set the tone, set it early for Fort Valley, and they essentially took control of this game early and basically did not let off the gas against Allen. So you know, it's a unique dynamic. Allen is a good team, but they're a B student right now. They're not that 4.0 student like Fort Valley is, or Miles, or, you know, Benedict is in the honors classes. You know, they in those AP, IB classes and everything else. Benedict, Allen is passing. Allen has good grades. They're at 3.0. They're at 3.0 student who gets looked, but they're not going to get all the big scholarship money that you get when you go on to the next level. Just taking a look at the quarterback comparison between the two. David Wright, 28 of 51 for 366 yards, 2 touchdowns. But what killed him, the 4 INTs, while Kelvin Durham, 22 of 31, 332, 5 touchdowns, 0 INTs.
Man, Drew, you say that at first I thought you were trying to convince me about Allen, but then you came back with the scenario with the grades. I was like, yeah, and broke it down with the interceptions. I like that. That was pretty good save there when you talk about 4.0 honor classes. Perfectly done. Joshua Sims Sr., let me set you up for this one. Fascinating when you talk about Johnson C. Smith showing a little moxie, coming from behind to get it done. They were literally down at half, 20-7. Neither team scored in the third quarter, but they put up 14 points, big, huge points, obviously, in the fourth quarter to win 21-20. What were your thoughts on this matchup in Elizabeth City, North Carolina? It was homecoming for the Elizabeth City State Vikings. Johnson C. Smith come in with a total all strength that I have in the ranking system at 9. Elizabeth City was 23 and got out there, but could not hold on to bring that homecoming victory back with them for all the friends and family. Joy, not to be, but what were your thoughts with the Golden Bulls getting it done?
Yeah, this one is again, man, another testament, man, to Johnson C. Smith this year finding ways to finish games. The last few years, really, for a long time, Johnson C. Smith's kind of coup de grace has been that they don't know how to finish games. They'll find themselves in games like this, and they don't know how to finish games. But this Johnson C. Smith team is not your grandfather's Johnson C. Smith team. They know how to finish games. That second half, that defense goes lights out against Elizabeth City, who really, honestly, in the first half, played a really good game. I mean, Elizabeth City State, it's homecoming, all the energy and all the pomp and circumstance that come with it being a homecoming game. Elizabeth City came out and they came out swinging. Johnson C. Smith goes in at halftime. They go back out. They come back out of halftime, and they literally put the hammer down in the second half. 14 unanswered in the second half by Johnson C. Smith. The running game starts to get rolling in the second half of Johnson C. Smith. And when they are able to stay ahead of the chains, they are one of the, if not the most dangerous offense in the entire CIAA. Obviously keeping Virginia State out of mind. But everybody else, Johnson C. Smith is no joke, man. When they get that running game going and then they able to go back over the top with after the running game, Johnson C. Smith is dangerous, man. So I really, really commend this Johnson C. Smith team, man. They're able to finish games, Doc, in a way that we haven't seen them be able to do so in years prior.
Good stuff there. BJ Jones, I want to go independent. Tennessee State, they were number 3 ranked, coming in at 2-1, 1-0 all. They take on the conference foe in the Big South OVC. This is a traditional OVC matchup. They were coming off a week off after a big conference win. They got against Gardner-Webb. People wanted to see, could Tennessee State take the next step? They started out the game like they were. They jumped up 10-0 before the Skyhawks had a comeback of their own and just held them scoreless in the second half. A field goal, then a touchdown for the Tigers, going up 10-0. Skyhawks did score before half, bringing it to 10-7, and they scored right before half with 48 seconds that really stymied the Tigers 14-10 in that matchup. Skyhawks get a field goal in the third and then a touchdown to really pull away in the fourth. So they outscored Tennessee State 20-0 in terms of 20 straight points to hold the Tigers down, who fall obviously 2-2, 1-1 in the race. This was on the road, Martin, Tennessee, Hardy M. Graham Stadium. It was on ESPN, so I got to catch it up here and there. But they let this one go in the other direction for the Tigers after they were excited in a lot of ways. What were your thoughts in terms of the matchup?
Man, the biggest thing for Tennessee State, man, was missed opportunities. Even when they went and got that field goal, that was a drive that should have been a touchdown. 2 plays before that field goal, they go to take a shot at the end zone, and kid was wide open, and it was just simply overthrew it. So it was small things like that for Tennessee State. I was hoping that Tennessee State would get this one, to give them that bump in the conference. Really hoping now that Tennessee State can take this positive momentum, because I don't think that this was a bad loss by any stretch. UT Martin, one of the stronger teams in the OVC Big South Challenge, as they're calling it. I really like this Tennessee State team, Doc. If they can play consistent, the problem that we've had with Tennessee State in the past, when it looks like they're turning the corner, and they've beaten teams like a Jacksonville State or Eastern Kentucky in the past, they'll drop a close one like this, and then just start dropping them, one after the other. And I hope that's not the case here. We'll see how it plays out next week for Tennessee State and the rest of the season.
Karen Griffin says Benedict TU or S Savannah State and Miles College.
I don't think it's going to be Savannah State.
Especially after they lost to EWU.
I don't think it'll be Savannah State.
Man, they came back Savannah State, boy. You got to really watch the coaching turnover when you make moves. Obviously, they leave the MEAC a couple of years ago. They had their way with SIAC teams at that time. Obviously, the more scholarships. And every once in a while, they'd have a little good fight in terms of the MEAC and push the top of the envelope. But now they come back. First couple of years, thought they were going to be a major player in the SIAC. Last couple of years, though, you forget about Savannah State, as you said. So
that coaching change killed that coaching change killed that culture.
Yeah, real quick. We told it question that hire a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Let's get into our last segment. We'll take a break. We'll come back with the State Fair Classic in Dallas, let you know what took place, top 7 teams, kind of hinted at a little bit, but we'll go inside the numbers there a little deeper. Then we'll get into our MEAC Game of the Week, North Carolina A&T, Norfolk State Spartans, And we'll get with the SWAC game of the week, which was in Pine Bluff, Arkansas, Simmons Bank Field, Southern Jaguars, Arkansas, Pine Bluff. Everybody keeps trying to put the dirt on the Jaguars. If this statement means anything, exactly. Not so fast, the Tumbo style. Not in my house. Stick with me right after this break. We'll come back on the other side. And I know they were on the road, but I'm just saying. Stick with us after this break.
Itchy, squirmy, scratchy, family not getting clean? Get Charmin Ultra Strong. Go get 'em. It just cleans better. With a diamond weave texture, your family can use less while still getting clean.
Goodbye, itchy squirm. Hello, cream bottom.
We all go. Why not enjoy the go with Charmin?
At Hampton Law, our primary goal is to provide non-traditional yet effective solutions and redefine the approach to client legal concerns. As your trusted legal advisor, we believe in sophisticated, personalized services that eliminate the confusion and complexity sometimes associated with legal matters. Our high standard for client care and concern, coupled with our extensive legal knowledge and skills, make Hampton Law a resource focused on the protection of the client's interest and overall goals. We value our clients and truly enjoy working with them. Visit thamptonlaw.com to conveniently schedule an appointment online. Tamika Hampton Esquire, 1631 Rock Springs Road, Suite 336, Apopka, Florida, 407-494-1471. thamptonlaw.com.
Nope. Nope.
Come on, him?
Ooh, I like him.
Quick, the quicker picker-upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker, and each sheet is 2 times more absorbent, so you can use less.
He's an 8.
He's a 9.
Bounty, the quicker picker-upper.
From novice to aficionado, find yourself here. High quality cigars plus personal customer service. Slow Burn is Waco's only mobile cigar lounge, featuring a meticulous, curated collection of premium cigars. Visit our website, www.slowburnwaco.com. That's www.slowburnwaco.com.
Stride K-12 powered schools are ready to put over 20 years of being a leader in online education to work for you. Dive into curriculum design for the online classroom. Team up with state-certified teachers trained in virtual instruction. Take control of your child's education journey. Discover the power of personalized learning with a leader experienced in preparing kids for a future they can be excited about. Take charge. Stride K-12. Enroll now for the fall.
Compress the analytic data with your hip hop. If you know them like I know them, they gon' tell you if your team, if they wanna lose, and who the ball. So listen to Professor, yes sir, and pay attention, cause he gon' teach a lesson.
This is Dr. Bill inside the HBCU Sports Lab. I see BJ Jones is getting in. He continue with the homecoming festivities and parties. That's what you do on the road. Especially when your team wins, man. It's something different when you're traveling back in the car, particularly long ride, an hour or 2, maybe 3. It's a different feeling when you get the victory. Now, even in the airports, you know, you smiling and folks ask you, saunter around. You don't have to worry about the folks in the front. You good. You make it easy. But those losses, everything bothers you. Everything gets on your nerves with the losses. Like, man, why they got to do this? Check you in like this. Why? I just want to get some. Stop talking. Front person. What are you talking to? Oh, good morning. No, it's not. There's something about it. So we had G. Boo Holly say he coming back from Dallas, boy, 3.5 hours, depending on what side of Houston you live on. But it gets to be a long ride. And this is the first time for me in a long time that the storm took it on the chin. So State Fair Classic. Yeah. Prairie View got double losses yesterday in regards to that. And this is not just me talking about it. This couple of Prairie View fans were disappointed. Storm brought in Dallas. And shout out to Curly Buck, Grambling fan. He came over there and mixing with the frat brothers. We got a chain that we talked with, Alabama A&M Bulldogs. We got them all in there. Grambling State in there, Texas Southern, Prairie View mixed up in there, so we get good banner going back between the brotherhood. And Curly Buck got to put out his chest, stopping a 5-game win streak. Hey, man, got the L. He talking about, well, what was that weather's tornadic that came through here? It wasn't about nothing. I said, what? Oh, I said, they talking to us and Grambling right now. So let me go to you, 80 Drew, and set this up. Stat-wise, this game was really close in a lot of ways. Trayvon Conley put up 224 yards. Miles Crowley put 241. Now, he threw 2 touchdowns. Conley had the big interception late. Rushing yards, Grambling 208. Prairie View put up 126 yards. A lot of hitting yards in there. Not turnovers wasn't bad and things of that nature, but fascinating when you look at the final. Grambling had 12 penalties for 85 yards. Prairie View 7 for 79. Dip and tuck. Grambling scored late to kind of pull it away when Prairie View couldn't get it there, which is another discussion. We'll see what that is. Coach said it was personal. He made sure. Now, he ran it up the gut. Let me put that out there. But you could have easily took a knee, so I was intrigued about that play in itself, about different framework of coaching. But, A.D. Drew, what were your overall thoughts on this matchup with Grambling getting it done 35-20, stopping the 5-game win streak and giving Prairie View their first conference loss of the season?
I told you all last week. Prairie View wins this game, you could pretty much chalk them and pencil them in as a potential West champion. Grambling wins this game. Now everything is wide open once again. Doc, this appeared to be one of those good old-fashioned heavyweight fights from back in the 80s. You had 2 punchers who like to deliver body blows, i.e. the running game from both of these 2 teams. And this was a close game going into the 4th quarter. And then all of a sudden, somebody hit with one of those George Foreman shots to the ribs. And there it was, that rib crack just a little bit. And Grambling was able to go ahead and knock Prairie View. They didn't knock them out, but they was able to win the decision because of that body blow. You know, the Prairie View was just never the same in the 4th quarter with that early onslaught in the 4th quarter. And Doc, we looked at the history of this on the Sports Wrap. This series has been streaky. One team will win 4, the other team will win 5. Somebody else will come back and win 3 in a row. Somebody else will come back and win 4 or 5 in a row. So, Doc, I'm sorry to tell you, but history is a predictor of future performance. It's going to be tough there in Prairie View for the next 3-4 years, just based on how this series has gone in the past.
Great point. It is one to keep your eyes on. And trust me, I think there are a lot of Panthers out there that knows that as well, would frustrate them a little more in terms of this. This was a season I thought that the Prairie View were not going to quite be where it needed to be just because they have some tough matchups on the road. Got off to a better start than I thought and started to believe a little bit. Now you're like, I don't know. But it'll be interesting. They still have some big matchups and games ahead of them. Obviously, Grambling and Southern back to where they like to be, 2-0 in the conference play at the top of the conference. And so look out now. Bayou Classic, anyone? A lot of football to be played. We'll see. In fact, we'll get into a key matchup as we go around and finish our 3 matchups that may determine a little more about this weekend, which is fascinating. With that being said, let me go to you, BJ Jones, in terms of Southern. Going on the road, Arkansas Pine Bluff. Much like people who looked at Tuskegee going into Alabama A&M, a lot of folks were saying, hey, could Arkansas Pine Bluff playing pretty well? People questioning about Southern. All for a week after they got righted the ship. Some people were looking at maybe Golden Lions. No, they got shut out. You talking about the defense. Everybody knew Southern defense was for real, and they hang on to that as they get it done. 27-0 for the Arkansas Pine Bluff. Gets shut out. The Southern Jaguars are playing well. Blood had 18 of 20, 225 yards, 2 touchdowns. He did have an interception, but he looked good. Burrows continues to do what he does. 102 yards, 15 carries, and a touchdown. BJ Jones, what were your thoughts of this matchup?
Southern did what needed to be done. Coming off a bye week, defensively, this defense has continued to play well the entire season. Yesterday was a feather in the cap. So shout out to that defensive staff, Coach Graves, and those guys over there. They've been doing it all year. Saw some changes on the offensive line. They got some. Coach Miller, DC. Can't forget him. Henry Miller, DC. Gotta remember him. There were some changes made up front offensively on the offensive line that has seemed to pay dividends. Harold Blood pretty much had a clean jersey yesterday. First time all year. I'm pretty sure the UAPB defensive line probably didn't even know what Harold Blood looks like. They probably couldn't pick him out of a lineup this morning. And that's something that we've been asking for. We've been clamoring to see. And this is the biggest thing, Doc. Coming to this ball game, Southern had one of the worst rushing offenses in the SWAC, only averaging about 2.9 yards per carry. You look at that yards per carry average yesterday, over 6. It all starts up front. That's why I tell people, offensive line and defensive line, it doesn't matter who you have on the outside. You can quote the names, the stats, the heights, the weights, and what they run. If you don't have it up front, you ain't got it. And yesterday it started up front. Southern's dominated that ball game. Sets up a huge contest next week that a lot of people would have sneezed at and overlooked Friday. But FAMU guys come to Baton Rouge on next Saturday. And that's going to be interesting.
Oh, you got me excited. Oh, we got to find a way to make that a game of the week. With that being said, before I go to Joshua to talk about this A&T Norfolk matchup, another good one is going to be that Grambling Alcorn. Ooh, boy, some matchups next week. You got Jackson, Alabama A&M. Man, we got 2:30, a 3 o'clock, 6 o'clock.
West, baby. SWAC West, baby.
Throw it up, no. It's going to be wild. Oh, man, I can't wait. But before we do that, we got to finish up this week. We got to do it right. Norfolk, Virginia, William Dick Price Stadium. Obviously, you have the Coastal, formerly known as the Colonial, versus the MEAC. This is one, all the other games, people were comfortable saying they're going to get it done. But this is the one that you really thought Norfolk State was going to take that next step, get it done. They fall in the hole early to make a valiant comeback, but couldn't close it out and get it done. North Carolina State Aggies get a win. They go to 1-3. 0-1, and they get it against Norfolk State Spartans that fall to 2-3 early on. I had A&T 20 of 21 HBCU programs in the strength rankings based on how they you knew basically all they could do is run, and Norfolk State allows them to run all over them in that matchup. I had Norfolk State climbed all the way to 8 in terms of but too much to be done for them. They couldn't get it done in so many different ways. 28-26 as the last 2-point try for Norfolk State Spartans as they had the ball fall short. Joshua, what do you think about this matchup?
I mean, it's just when you're finally starting to show some attention to detail when it comes to Norfolk State. I mean, I think we all were just like, come on, Norfolk. Just come on, Norfolk. And they just wet the bed at the crib. I mean, it's just like, come on. And it's like all teams for you to wet the bed against, man. Of all teams for you to do that against. You do this against the school down the highway, man. Listen, you know what they gonna do, man. You know what they gonna do. Now, I got to give it up. And I don't ever, Dr. Cavil, BJ, AD, y'all know this. I don't ever do this for this school. The school down the highway they get one of these from me once every 3 months. I get it quarterly, and that's it. Today is the first day of quarter 4. It's October 1st. Today is the first day of the 4th quarter.
They using it up already.
They getting it now, and they won't get it again the rest of the year. They have found their starting quarterback. School down the highway, you have found your starting quarterback. Ain't no more back and forth. You done found him. Kevin Jerome Gerald White III. I don't know if that's his real name, but I'm gonna call it like that. Kevin White is your starting quarterback. Not only did he give you at least pedestrian passing yesterday, he gives you 11 carries for $115 and 2 touchdowns. That's how you get it done. Young bull, and if I'm not mistaken, I believe he's a freshman.
Yep. That's
to
it.
get that done yesterday, and I mean, listen, Norfolk State, Otto Coombs he's an opportunity away from really being maybe top half of the conference as far as quarterback. But I was extremely impressed by this young man yesterday. A freshman comes into this game with a coach who's looking for his first win of his career, of his head coaching career, and he does that yesterday. I was extremely impressed, man. Over 200 all-purpose yards yesterday, 2 touchdowns yesterday. I'm impressed. Young fella, congratulations, man. Great game yesterday. Way to go get that W. But God almighty, man. Come on, Norfolk. Come on, Norfolk. Puppy
Yeah,
pride. Puppy pride, y'all.
I figure A&T put up 275 yards. Norfolk State put up 230. Yards per pass was 9.8. So when he did pass, he was very effective in terms of that matchup. You talked about White, 6 of 10, 98 yards, did have the 1 interception. And Coons went 15 of 30, 165 yards and 3 touchdowns. But those hidden yards and the rushing yards was very much there as Norfolk falls to the Aggies 28-26. We talked about some of these key matchups. Let's go through this before we close out. Go to you, BJ Jones. What are some key matchups you're looking for next week that has you excited? You at least want to keep your eyes on. You on mute?
Can't hear you, BJ.
Got 3 of them. Go hit you real quick. Start first one, Mobile, Alabama. Alabama A&M takes a trip to Mobile to host Jackson State. You can pretty much call that one an elimination game as far as the East. In the SWAC West, you got 2 of them. The East and West matchup, FAMU goes to Baton Rouge, face off against Southern. And then Alcorn and Grambling. Alcorn hosts Grambling for homecoming. Homecoming down on the reservation. Grambling comes in. Alcorn loses it, man. It's pretty much over. Grambling loses it. Just keep on with the chaos. Keep on with the keep on. So those are my 3 key ones right there. Also, don't forget about Miles and Benedict coming up next week, which is Miles' homecoming. So yeah, those are the ones to watch.
I see. Let me go to you, AD Drew. What are you keeping your eyes on this week?
Let's start in the CIAA. Virginia State, Bowie State. Bowie State disappointing loss on yesterday. A win gets them back into the race. It creates a glut in that CIAA North, in which all 3 teams will have 1 loss at that point. A win by Virginia State pretty much put Virginia State in the driver's seat, with Union hoping that they can, catch State at the end of the season. I said it at the start of the show in the SWAC. Everybody's going to be looking in Lorman, Mississippi, to see what happens with that SWAC West race with Alcorn and Grambling. But the coup de grace, very few times do you see the middleweight fight be the fight that's the feature card. It's got to be Miles and Benedict, the top 2 defenses in the SIAC, the top 2 offenses in the SIAC. All year, I've been talking about Kelvin Durham and David Wright as the top 2 quarterbacks in the SIAC. Has anybody been paying attention to what's been going on in Fairfield, Alabama, with Edwin Kleinpeter Jr. leading the charge for the Miles Golden Bears? I mean, he is definitely trying to make sure he puts his name into that conversation. A win over Benedict would definitely vault him into that conversation.
Man, I like what you said there, breaking it down. In that game with Benedict and Miles, it's in Fairfield, Alabama, for those that weren't thinking about it. You also talked about earlier the Virginia State, Bowie State matchup. That is in Bowie, Maryland, boys. So that's another one in terms of keep your eyes on. Let me go to you, Joshua. What are your thoughts in terms of matchups this week that has you excited?
Yeah, man, just kind of starting in the SWAC, man, it goes without saying, but I'm going to be paying attention to this game. That FAMU Southern game is going to be a game I'm going to have my eyes peeled on. That's a big-time matchup. But I'm also
potential conference championship matchup.
Absolutely.
And this game can go a long way if it pulls out this way to see where it's played. More importantly, is it in Tallahassee? Is it in Baton Rouge on the Bluff? Good point.
And that is the part right there, what you just said, Doc. That's the part that's most intriguing about this game, is because this game may very well possibly set the setting for when we get to late October, November, and all this stuff that's going to happen, because there's more chaos that's getting ready to happen in the SWAC. But this game right here could literally be the lightning or the fireworks that makes all the chaos go off in there. So I'm going to be paying attention to that one. Also, simultaneously in the SWAC, I will be paying attention to Jackson State, Alabama A&M. It's a big-time game. A&M coming along. I mean, Quincy Casey is playing just as good a football at quarterback right now as any quarterback in the country. Want to see what he does against that Jackson State defense. Want to see if, what Jason Brown does against this Alabama A&M, who's all very well so opportunistic. They will take advantage of opportunities if you do so. Want to make sure I take advantage of that. I also
to your point on that Alabama A&M, you talking about possibly finding a way to host the championship game. That makes that FAMU game more interesting in November if they're able to get this. Obviously, you got Magic City and more games to be played, but it further makes the mark in terms of as we start to kind of huddle around the masses. So I like what you're talking when you say keep your eyes on that one as well. In
Could possibly be an elimination game, ladies and gentlemen. That's big. That's why that game is very, very intriguing. I'll be looking to see what the line looks like in that game. And then over to the MEAC. Obviously, the MEAC has another week, another opportunity to go 2-0 versus the Colonial or the Coastal or whatever it is, Colonel, whatever it is they call themselves.
You say Colonel.
Morgan State. All right, I got Morgan State. Please, y'all, come on. You got Stony Brook next week. You back at the house. It's Stony Brook. We need Morgan State to get this W to solidify a winning record against the CIAA. North Carolina Central again plays against Elon, who beat William and Mary yesterday, who's the perennial power inside the CIAA since for the last 2 years. Looking forward to seeing that game, and then obviously goes without saying, want to see what my big dog is going to do. My OG, Coach Dr. Henry Frazier III does, going up to Bowie for their homecoming. Woo! It's homecoming at Bowie this week. I'm looking forward to seeing that one. That's my last one, Doc.
Good one by all of y'all. I have my eyes on all of those games as we do, and we'll talk about it next Sunday to give you an update. We'll see if we can find Mike Washington and Charles Bishop as they're out on assignment. We'll see if we can bring them back in the fold. If not, I'll have this crew right here with you. Thank you for listening Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Make sure you share our podcast with your friends and colleagues. I am Dr. Kenyatta, Cavil, the Dean of HBCU Sports, coming from inside the lab in the College of HBCU Sports with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop, with two of the members of the three of the X's and O crew, BJ Jones, curator of HBCU Weekly on Tuesday, and Joshua Sims Sr., curator of HBCU Nightly on Wednesday. And then obviously we have AD Drew Brian doing the work in the background. So check them out this evening as they get ready for Sports Wrap. They'll give you the updates and latest close out on this week and get you started for next. Make sure you tune them in. Again, we want to thank you for listening to Dr. Bill's Inside the HBCU Sports Lab with Mike Washington and Charles Bishop every Tuesday and Thursday. It's 6 o'clock Central Standard Time. We got some basketball media days. We'll see if we can get those updates for the SWAC Tuesday and Thursday, see what that looks like. Women first on Tuesday, men on Wednesday, as we get back into the action of some football this weekend. Follow me, Dr. Kenyatta Cavil, on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram. That's DrKenyattaCavil, Inside the HBCU Sports Lab on Twitter, Facebook, and YouTube, as you know, is Inside the HBCU Sports Lab. Drink big. Continue to move forward. We will talk with you soon. AD? BJ?
Of course.
AD, come through.
I can hear.
AD, back to you. Joshua?
This.
Let's get out of here. Safe travels, everybody.
Good job.